Hello and welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage and today we're going to be having a look at Bitcoin. Before we jump into that though, I'd like to say thank you for watching. If you're enjoying the content, please smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel, turn on those bell notifications and leave us some feedback down below. We're always happy to hear from you. Okay, so let's get into the fun stuff here. What we were looking for was potential that we could still be looking for this extension to the upside, looking for a bigger wave 3 towards this 29,876. For the most part, this is alive. The thing is, what we want to see is actually start seeing some moves now. This move here, I don't want to see it get too much bigger, otherwise it doesn't really fit within the count that well anymore, and it makes more sense then that this is actually this whole move is then potentially an A, a B, and then we're looking for a C wave to the downside. So there are a couple of ways of looking at this, and we're going to discuss them within the video. So make sure you stay tuned so you see all the options that we are talking about. Okay, so if we wanted to argue that potentially this wave 2 would come in here, what we wouldn't want to see basically is a move back below this 22,722. At the moment though, we have to be a bit cautious with this because we don't have good structure here for an impulse. All we have is a three-wave move in that case. But what we can argue is that we could potentially start to see something like this play out, where we are looking to form further extension within the waves, where this becomes a 1-2, we form another 1-2, and then we look to actually progress to the upside. So we've come back down into the 618 region of this move to the upside here, and really we'd want to see if this starts to move away now. There's potential to come down a little bit lower here, and the area I'd be looking for if we were going to be looking for some potential continuation here would be this 23,276 area. So that would tie up quite nicely within this idea of actually coming to that 786 to the downside. But for the most part, we can argue it's come down deep enough that it could be a completed move. So what would we want to see for this to play out? We'd want to see nice, good, clean, impulsive structure within this third wave here. We want to start to see something like this playing out where we see a five-wave move to the upside. Within that, we also want to we'd want this move to come towards this 24,256 for more confidence within it. And then even if we do move up to the zone, what we want to see is evidence that this fourth wave comes in. So we'd want to see a three-wave move back down for this fourth wave in this location here. And then we'd want to see this fifth wave play out to the upside and then look for these additional fourths and fifths here. So if we do get this single five-wave move play out here to the upside, what I would still be looking for would be this confirmation of this additional fourth and a fifth here. These target zones are obviously, if we don't get further extension, sometimes what can happen within the wave count is we can get things like this where we form 1-2, 1-2, then we might form another 1-2 here, and then this starts to really get going, and then basically that would push these targets higher up than these standard areas that we're looking for. So we need to bear that in mind as well. If it starts to blast through these zones, it would potentially mean that there is further extension within this. But if that's the case, what I would be looking for is forming another 1-2 within this, where we actually form a new higher low here, and then we look to actually break up to the upside, looking for this to have five-wave structure as well within this first push-up. So this is valid. If we lose this zone of this wave 2, this 23,137, then it becomes less likely that this is actually in play, and that we are potentially looking at this rather than as a corrective pattern. Because if we do lose this low, there isn't the only other way you could really potentially try and count an impulse here would be a 1, 2, 3. This all is a fourth and then an extension within the fifth wave, but you could just quite easily also count it as an A, B, and a C. So the key thing there is if we do move down from this high point and find support, then we'd be looking to see how we react from it. And what we'd be looking for in that case is probably rather something like this. If we lose this zone of this 23,137, what I would be more inclined to think is going on is something like this, where we are looking to form this as a three-wave move to the upside. And that's why I said, if we lose that low, this would be our next zone of support right here. This 23,203 to this 22,924. And what we'd want to see from this point, basically, like I said, we could argue that there's a one, two, three. This is a fourth and a fifth up here. In that case, then what we'd be looking for is finding support in here and then forming a bigger five-wave move to the upside. And that would have to move past for that to become a bigger impulse if we wanted to try and count it like that. It's not my preferred count, but we'd have to move up much higher here, and that 1618 would be 24,700. We actually have to come back up past this X wave high here, and that would then be looking at this potentially as a one, two, three, four, five, and then we'd be looking for that evidence of that fourth and a fifth wave. However, like I said, this could also just be a bigger corrective structure where this becomes a connector wave here, and we actually just look to break down at a later point. So looking at this, something like this is an A, we come back up for a B, and then a C wave to the downside. So we need to be cautious of that. We are looking for this potential of a wave two here, but it can always break down, and confirmation of that would actually come by breaking down below this 21,351 area. So if we did have to move up back up towards this zone of this 1 to 1 and we failed to achieve good impulsive structure here, what we could then be looking for is a move actually down towards this 21,658, and that would be looking at this as an A, a B, and a C, or potentially a W, X, Y. Depending on what structure comes off the back of this move here. So this is something we're gonna have to pay attention to. Moving back up into this range here of this 24,680 to this 23,949. This is an area of rejection that we could find fib rejection that we could actually get resistance in and actually look for rejection to the downside. And once like I said, once we take this 22,722, it becomes less likely that we are in that structure that we are looking for as an impulse here. Though it wouldn't be invalidated until we actually cross this 2135, but it would be starting to get quite long in the tooth, this move. The other thing that we need to talk about is, like we were saying in yesterday's video, we could also potentially argue that this is an A wave. We form a B wave here and then actually break down for that C wave. And we fail to hold this support zone. So if we fail to hold this support zone, my next area that I'd be looking for as a target would be potentially towards this zone here of this 21,881 area. So, this would be basically coming back into the beginning of the move. But by the time we start to break this low, it becomes more likely that this move is actually going to break down even deeper. So we'd have to keep an eye on it. But this would be that 1-to-1 area. If it does extend out a little bit further, this 21,475 to this 21,288 area could be an interesting zone that we could look to find a reaction off of. So that's looking at basically the possibility that we're in just a bigger corrective mode. And they would be looking for that possibility of actually coming down towards this 20,757 to the 17,104. For the most part, we haven't invalidated that potential bullish structure. We are still holding the key support range, and we are still holding this current channel for the time being. So if we start to lose that and we start to, for instance, if we had to break down through this, come back up, find rejection off of here, it could lead to a sell-off, which would potentially look to push us back down into this range. So that's something I'm just keeping an eye on. If for as long as we hold it, though, we can look for that potential. Also, another thing worth noting here is we were holding this channel line, this trend line rather, earlier, but we've actually lost this and we could actually come back and retest this. So this could be an interesting zone. If we do manage to break back above it, find support again, we could actually look to move away from this. Alternatively, we'd have to be careful around these tops here at this 25,256. If we do move back up here, then this could still be looking for the potential to actually reject and look to break down deeper again. So we need to give it a bit of space. We were also talking about the potential of a five-wave structure to the downside, but at the moment it doesn't quite meet the criteria. What we would be looking for here is to see whether we get confirmation of further extension, because this wouldn't make any sense as an impulse unless it's extending, because what we would then be arguing is that potentially we have an additional 1 and a 2 here, and then this could actually look to break down much deeper. But if this was the case, what we would be looking for was actually a much deeper move here. And it's not my preferred count at this point, but if we do start to break down impulsively and move past this 20,841, then what I would start looking for is for this to actually be in play. So we're just tracking this at the moment. We can argue that we could look for another 1, 2 here, but then really we'd have to move down much deeper for that third wave, fourth wave, and a fifth wave. And then what that would do is basically shift this count deeper here, where this third wave would then come into these lower ranges here, and then we'd actually be looking for that to play out in that manner. But at the moment, we don't have good structure for it. I do have it marked down because I'm just keeping an eye on it. If we do start to break down through some of these key levels, would have to obviously adjust the count though, because currently it doesn't have good structure as an impulse. But if we do start to break down past some of these key levels and potentially taking this 21,351 in a more impulsive manner, so if we start to get some real volume come in and start to get some clean vertical moves coming in here, then it would be likely that there is an impulse within here somewhere. Whether that's just a corrective move and then an impulse, or alternatively the whole thing could be a bigger impulse. That's just been taking some time to play out. So these are the things we're going to be careful of within the structure. And if we're talking about that potential for that bullish breakout to the upside, basically, we want to hold these key zones. This 23,252 would be a key one. And then this low area here of this 23,137. But really, we'd have to start to see these bigger moves playing out here to the upside for this to remain valid. Otherwise, all we've got is three-wave structure. We could form three-wave structure, have another three-wave or five-wave structure up here, and then, come back, retest some of these zones here, and then actually look to break down from there. So gonna have to give it a bit of space and see what happens. Okay, I'm gonna leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below, and also in the description you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out, it's free to join. Once you're in the general chat area, just mention a member of staff. We'll be happy to help you out with anything you may need. Also in the description you'll find affiliate links for Primex BT and BYBIT, both great exchanges that we use on a regular basis. Check them out if you don't have an account. Using the affiliate link does help support the channel, and we do appreciate it. Everyone, I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care out there.